So I met a woman recently who told me that she does not have an inner voice, right? You know, that voice that talks to you from inside your head, either positively or negatively, and gives you motivation on one side, but also can talk shit, right? And everything in between. Now this woman, she had none of that. And I was like, really? Like, what must that be like? I can't even imagine. So I went home and I Googled it because that's what we do when we don't know shit. And you know what? It's true. Like, there are some people out there that don't have an inner voice. Damn, what must that be like? I am not one of those people. I have a very active inner voice. Now, my name is Mary Ann Lombardi, and I am an executive turned founder. I'm an author, mom, and former teacher. And I help people build confidence and independence by earning a full-time income off of a part-time business. So they can work from home, they can spend more time with the people that they love and really love their life again. If you enjoy these videos, please let us know. Write in the comments, say something nice, subscribe so you don't miss one, and let's just jump right in. Today we are talking about that inner voice and how to harness it for your benefit. So what is it, right? Like, what is that inner voice? Your inner voice is exactly what it sounds like. It's the voice, the conversation that is inside your head. Now, it wields incredible power. It can either support us or tear us down. And in the end, it is more powerful than the voices that are outside of our head because it's much harder to escape from. Now, evidence suggests that talking to yourself has a number of benefits psychologically, right? It can help you problem solve. It can help you reason and plan and help motivate you, right? And that's awesome. But it also has a bunch of negative side effects. And it can lead you to develop and reinforce a negative self-concept. It can tear us down and reinforce self-sabotaging behaviors. And it's kind of like, you know, do you ever get tired of people who are looking over your shoulder, you know, like, you must. I mean, I do, right? They're telling you what to do. They're judging your choices. They're commenting on your every move. And do you ever find yourself thinking, like, shut up already. Please just shut up. The worst part about that is when that person is you inside of your head. That's that negative side effect of your inner voice. And we all have a lot going on, and what we don't need is that voice piping up telling us that we're doing it all wrong. So, what do? How do you manage your inner voice? Well, first let's start with this. That inner voice, it's important to recognize that it is not you, right? And then second, it's important to recognize that she's full of shit. So here are the keys to managing that inner voice, right? And it's kind of the same as managing your external voice, right? Like, because if that voice is saying things that are positive and helpful to you, welcome it, bring it on in, right? If that inner voice is overly critical, negative, kind of like an asshole, and does not support who you are, your goals, and the life you want to lead, then you need to kick it out, right? You need to nip it in the bud and stop her. So let's talk about how we do that. Number one, the first step is to recognize that she is not you. Your inner voice is not you. She's a mix of all sorts of influences. Some are good, some are bad. Most often, the voice that you hear or the words that you hear are somebody else's. They aren't yours. They can be a parent, a teacher, another important person in your life, maybe a friend or a pastor. She is this tapestry of all the influences in your life. And depending on what she says, she could sound different and use different words. But the important part is to recognize that she is not you. Whether she's being encouraging or judgmental bitch, she is not you. Because we are all a product of our circumstances, our expectations, our social conditioning, our experiences, right? It's this big old cocktail of things that are playing out and shaping what we do and who we are and how we think about it. Okay, so take a step back and recognize just because your inner voice is talking to you does not mean it is actually how you feel or what you think. Okay, step two, you got to consider the source. Before you absorb any negative self-talk, consider the source. You know the voice is not you, so who is it? Who is talking to you? It might be the voice of your first boyfriend, right? Like that narcissistic asshole, right? Judging you about how you should stop thinking about yourself so much. It could be the voice of that great teacher in high school who was supportive of you when nobody else was. It could be a grandparent who gives you like kick-ass advice. Or it could be your inner child saying some sort of self-sabotaging thing out of fear. right? Once you recognize the source, let that inform what you do with the feedback, right? You broke up with that narcissistic asshole for a reason, so no point in listening to his feedback now, right? Like, grandma has never steered you wrong with her advice, so listen to what she has to say, okay? Step 3 is name her. Again, since that voice is not you and an amalgam of a bunch of other voices, give her a name. I've named my inner voice Charlie. So Charlie tells me what she is thinking all the time. Sometimes it's useful, sometimes she's full of shit, but I know her, right? The moment she pops up, and I don't confuse her with me. And naming your inner voice is a kind of psychologically distancing practice, right? Like, and researchers define psychologically distancing as a way of stepping back from a situation to get some distance, so you can survey what is going on and reflect on the best way to handle it without acting or responding too abruptly. It helps you get perspective on what's happening and generate this more appropriate response. So by naming your inner voice, you distance yourself from what that voice is saying, and you recognize that she isn't you, and it allows you to stop the momentum of that thought in your head, okay? So step 4 is to welcome the conversation, right? Like, have the conversation. So when Charlie has something to say, it does not help me to fight her or ignore her, right? That just makes her louder. So I let her say what she is going to say, but I speak back, right? It's like the more you feel things, the more you suppress them, the more they come back like screaming to bite you. So it's much better to deal with them in the moment before you move on. So if your inner voice is the same way, depending on what she says, I say back, I appreciate your opinion, but it is not useful to me today. And when she's really pushy, I say it out loud, right? No matter if somebody's watching me. If she gives me good advice, I say, thank you, that's useful, good stuff, right? This gives the voice a beginning, a middle, and an end. It forces the conversation to be over, and it limits the power, and it helps me move through the thought so it doesn't get stuck on a loop, right? So let's recap for a second, real quick. We defined what your inner voice is and how it has both positive and negative impacts. We talked about 4 steps to managing that inner voice, including recognizing that she is not you, considering the sources of who she actually is and what's being said. Number 3, naming her as a psychological distancing tool. And number 4, engaging in conversation with her so you can stop the chatter faster, right? So please try out these steps to help you harness your inner voice and make her work for you instead of against you. And let us know if this has helped. I'd also be curious what you name your inner voice. So like figure out what you want to name her and put it in the comments so we can see, okay? So subscribe to the channel and we will see you next week. Thank you.